I first kind of entered the monastery when I was 19 years old, and I was ordained for 6 years, from 1990 to 96. And it was a kind of Thai forest tradition of Theravada Buddhism as it's kind of taken roots in the UK. And I lived in the UK and 3 monasteries in Europe. And the last year I spent in Sri Lanka in a few different kind of monasteries, but also a significant period on what's called a charika, which is like kind of a period of time. But about half the time I was there, wandering from village to village, with a kind of mendicant, an alms mendicant's bowl, kind of collecting food from local villagers and subsisting on that, and kind of just traveling around and meeting people and spending a lot of time in solitude and meditating. And so 6 years. I was young, clearly at the time, 26 years old. Kind of a fantastic period of my life. So why did I ordain? Well, now with the benefit of hindsight, I have some perspective, and I'd kind of want to share that with you. So before even coming across Buddhism, I'd kind of had experiences as a child where I had kind of had a sense of the dimension of human nature that was kind of beyond the personality, kind of timeless, or kind of beautiful, blissful, and there was kind of one experience in particular that I'd just like to share with you. So I was in a church with my family, sitting on the pew. It came to a period of silent prayer. I closed my eyes, and I had the kind of physical sensations were kind of limited to the sensations of kind of sitting on the pew and my feet on the floor. And I closed my eyes, and kind of quite spontaneously, my sense of my kind of awareness of the surroundings kind of evaporated, and I kind of had this sense that I might be kind of sitting on this kind of small piece of something solid with my feet on a small piece of something solid, but otherwise around me, front, back, sides, up, down, it kind of there was infinite space. It kind of like this, just kind of in the middle of this infinite space, and it was kind of a beautiful experience. And I opened my eyes, and I looked at the front of this church building, and the physicality of what I saw kind of evaporated, and it kind of evaporated into kind of almost like, I mean, it's hard to describe, the kind of visual kind of quality of nothingness, absence, and I had this sense, really strong sense, that the kind of the physicality of the world was like a veil, and it was evaporating before my eyes, and I was about to be my consciousness was kind of in the process of being kind of absorbed or sucked in or swept up into this experience, this kind of beyond thing, and it kind of felt very powerful, very beautiful, transcendent, spiritual. And I remember my mind kind of thinking, like having this feeling of kind of, and it kind of like snapped. My attention kind of snapped back into kind of this creation of the world, and the kind of physicality came back, and I came back, and I was kind of back sitting down, and it was just a remarkable experience to have. I must have been kind of 14 or 15 years old at the time, maybe younger, maybe 12 or 13, and so from that moment forward, I kind of was really contemplating kind of lifestyle that involved some sort of kind of religious or spiritual commitment. It was a vocation. As my teenage years went on, I kind of my thinking gravitated away from kind of Christianity, and I kind of grew up in London. There was a fair bit of kind of club culture. It was kind of in the 80s. It was kind of acid house, but also kind of world music, and there was lots of hippies, and kind of went traveling and met some really cool people, and had some friends that were very rebellious and kind of non-conventional in their thinking. So when I kind of went to university, within a couple of months, it struck me that I didn't want to go conventional routes. I wasn't kind of really interested in doing a degree with a view to getting a job, kind of normal way or conventional way. and I just didn't know what I wanted exactly, but I wanted to travel and just experience the world. So quite common, I think, kind of, like sometimes I kind of wanted a gap year or something, but anyway. So I kind of was traveling a bit in the UK and hitchhiking and trying to kind of hook up with people who might be like-minded. And a friend said, look, why don't you go and visit a monastery? So a Buddhist monk gave me a book about Buddhism. I read it. I was kind of like, okay, this is kind of cool. It's kind of aligns with where I'm at. And visited a Buddhist monastery. And within a day, I realised that's what I kind of was looking for and wanted. So, kind of immediately, absolutely immediately. So I went to a couple of different monasteries and then ended up staying for a few months in this monastery in Sussex, Chittawaka it's called, or Chithurst Buddhist Monastery. And kind of a stay of a few days turned into a few weeks and months, and eventually I ordained.